Despite what you think, your hard-earned money in the bank is losing value every single day. While you may think that your dollars are sound money, in reality, the government is debasing your currency, and in fact, your dollars are unsound money, basically on. Consequences of unsound money spiral out to almost every level in society, leading to more corruption, lawlessness, and the very erosion of our value as human beings. The very freedoms that we take for granted are at stake. And today, you're going to get a lesson on why we need to change that. Let's get it. BitSwap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, BitSwap gets you the very best price and value for your trades. BitSwap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.io. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben. Every day I show you how to make money in cryptocurrency. If you like money and crypto, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want even more crypto memes and behind-the-scenes photos, make sure to follow us on Instagram at bitboy_crypto. In today's video, we're going to talk about how debasing the value of currency has detrimental impacts on society and puts your very freedom at risk. That's right. We live in a society where our currency is not backed by anything of intrinsic value. For example, many people are unaware that the Federal Reserve note hasn't been backed by gold since Roosevelt unhitched the United States from the domestic gold standards in 1933. Despite this, the US dollar still internationally served as a surrogate for gold. That is until Nixon closed the gold window in 1971, removing the US from the international gold standard. Up until that point, central banks from foreign countries could exchange their Federal Reserve notes for gold. As a matter of fact, the US dollar was the only currency that was allowed to be exchanged for gold at all. Until Nixon closed that gold window, this monetary policy was set into motion as a result of the Bretton Woods system. Now, once again, for a deep dive into the Bretton Woods system, check out the video I did above by clicking the link. As you can plainly see on this graph, since the establishment of the Federal Reserve in 1913, the value of the US dollar has been steadily declining, plummeting 97%. The US dollar is only 3% as valuable as it was when it was first released. The Fed has continued to print more money at will, which has increased inflation and debased the value of our currency. And the Fed manipulates the currency in a variety of ways, such as funding deficits by borrowing money. The Treasury issues Treasury bills through the Fed and takes in more money. This money is then used to fund more deficits. Whenever the Fed prints more money, the monetary supply is expanded, which is the fuel for the fractional reserve banking system. For a more comprehensive breakdown of the fractional reserve banking system, you can check out the video above. Now, when the monetary supply expands, this results in a debasing of the currency and causing prices to go up, making the money less and less sound. This is the foundation of inflation, and the very reason that the purchasing power of the US dollar has been in a steady decline. Not only does it debase the value of the currency as far as purchasing power, but it also results in the debasing of stagnant assets like the money in your bank account. The money that you think is safe and sound in the bank is actually losing value over time. This is only further compounded by the steady increases in taxes, and eventually, people begin to take notice. They are right now. They wonder why they have more and more trouble making ends meet. And they want someone to blame for their misfortune. Often people blame me, but those in power, like politicians, try to use this to their advantage. Blaming the 1%, the corporations, the banks, everyone but themselves and the system they represent, and the unsound money that they are fostering. Most people swallow this up without a second thought otherwise. Politicians are also in a pickle, because if they were to tell the truth about the flaws in this system, it would leave them seriously exposed. And they have their own fiscal responsibilities and budgets to worry about, actually mostly the next campaign. But if they were to be honest and say that in reality they have overspent and that they need to cut back, they would suddenly find themselves in a very sticky situation where they don't get as large of a budget, and the people would have to make do with less than before. I can't imagine a politician having a successful election campaign if he promises less to his constituents. An ever-increasing focus on the economy is the easiest path to victory, and the data supports this time after time. But what most people don't realize is exactly how this unsound money is impacting their lives. The debasement of the currency is the debasement of your very life, because it's a debasement of the most valuable resource that you have, your time. No one lives forever, and everyone has only a limited amount of time. It is the scarcest of all resources. The majority of our time is spent toiling in labor. That's why I'm here, recording this on Christmas Eve. You use your valuable labor to sustain your life because your labor is in turn converted to currency, which you use to engage in the free market economy through buying necessary goods and services, such as buying food and paying your rent. The labor that you give your valuable time to is a measure of your productivity, and thus a measure of the value of your life as a whole. When you devalue the currency, you devalue your time that you spent laboring for that currency. Debasing of the value of the currency is really debasing the value of your life. I know it sounds crazy, but this is the real impact of unsound money. It debases the trust we have in our economy, and it downgrades the value of human beings and their time. In reality, when your life and your labor has no value, but you're forced to do it, it's the very definition of slavery. We're no longer considered human beings, just property. The labor that we produce is taken from us, and we are forced to continue to participate in this system. Any money that we do save is worth less and less until eventually it isn't worth anything, and we are massively in debt without any escape. Fundamentally, important goals that we should aspire to achieve take a back seat to the ever-increasing pressure to make more money. The powers that be are incentivized to keep us participating and locked in this system, exploiting us for their gain and using our labor for their profit and our savings to generate more money for them, as is the case with the fractional reserve banking system, which also went under huge changes recently. The continued debasing of currency means that slowly the government can devalue the savings that you've worked so hard to gain, which translates into the government debasing your life and your life's work. Your most valuable resource, your time, has been taken from you, and you can never get it back. That's why they call inflation the silent thief, which really brings up the question, what is a loud thief? But your most valuable resource, your time, has been taken from you, and you can never get it back. The psychological consequences of unsound money are apparent in the increase of lawlessness and corruption that are rampant and only getting worse. As our time and our value as human beings are debased, our feeling of worthlessness increases, and we lash out. We are living in the age of debasement. Not only is our government-controlled currency being downgraded, the government is also controlling everything we do and decreasing the value of our very lives. They create a situation where we will inevitably lash out, and they punish us for our natural reaction to these circumstances. They are downgrading the very constitution of guaranteed freedom, integral to our democracy. And this only leads to lawlessness, which leads to more lawlessness. We've seen this all around us this year. Free markets are being eroded, and the powers that be have created a situation where you have no choice but to participate in the economic transactions with diminishing returns. When the government debases currency, they're debasing the certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what our country was founded upon. When the government slowly confiscates your hard-earned money through this inflation, they're slowly increasing their ownership and control over you. What begins in liberty will only end up in tyranny. That's why I'm Patrick Henry of crypto. So what can we do to fight back against this? What can we do to ensure that we have sound money? The only solution is Bitcoin. Give me Bitcoin or give me death. It exists outside this eroding and debasing system of unsound money. It's the only tool we've got to fight against this government control. I'm reminded of a quote by the famous economist Friedrich Hayek. I don't believe we shall ever have a good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of the government. That is, we can't take it violently out of the hands of government. All we can do is by some sly roundabout way introduce something that they can't stop. And do you think it's any coincidence that a Bitcoin is round? It's the sly roundabout, obviously. Do you see how unsound money has devastating consequences to our freedom and the very value of our lives? Be sure to drop me a comment down below. That's all I got. Be blessed. BitBoy out.